Hey everyone! Today, we're diving into the world of cruise ships and something called tender ports. Now, you might be wondering, what's the big deal about these tender ports? Well, they're not your typical cruise stop, and they can be a bit frustrating for some passengers. Let me tell you why. First off, what are tender ports? Imagine you're on a cruise ship, and instead of docking at a nice, big pier, you have to take a small boat called a tender to get to shore. It's like a mini boat shuttle service. But here's the catch, not all cruise ports require tenders. It depends on the ship's size, the port's conditions, and sometimes even the weather. Now, you might be thinking, why go through all this trouble with tenders? Well, it's all about accessibility and logistics. Some harbors are too shallow for big ships, or there might be environmental restrictions like protected reefs. And sometimes, the ship just can't fit into the port's pier. So, tenders come in handy in these situations. But here's where it gets interesting. Accessibility is a huge deal for many passengers, especially those with disabilities. Take Corey Lee, for example, who uses a wheelchair. He's been on dozens of cruises but has only been able to visit a tender port once. The process often involves crossing a large gap between the tender and the ship and descending stairs, which can be a real challenge for those with mobility issues. Lee's frustration is understandable. He feels left out when everyone else is having fun on shore excursions while he's stuck on the ship with minimal staff. He even missed out on visiting places like Kotor, Montenegro, because of the accessibility issues with tender ports. It's a bummer, right? Now, let's talk about the tender process itself. Cruise lines usually share tender information the night before or early in the morning. Passengers on shore excursions get priority, which is a relief. But for those exploring independently, they might need to pick up a tender ticket, depending on the cruise line and port rules. Tender rides typically last around 5 to 20 minutes, and they can be quite the adventure. Some of the most beautiful and memorable destinations are often tender ports. But there are downsides too. Windy weather and rough seas can make the ride uncomfortable, and sometimes, the captain might cancel the port visit if conditions are unsafe. Accessibility is a key concern here. Lee recommends calling the cruise line or joining online communities of cruisers with disabilities to get accurate information about accessible ports. It's crucial to know the tender times, as they can be much earlier than the ship's departure time. In conclusion, tender ports are a unique part of the cruise experience, but they can be frustrating for some. It's all about understanding the logistics, accessibility, and the beauty of these destinations. So, the next time you're planning a cruise, keep an eye out for tender ports and be prepared for a slightly different adventure.